given China's actions on climate and the military dialogue with the U.S., does the White House think Speaker Pelosi bears any blame for the rupture? And do you worry that the relationship with China could devolve further?
So, and you've heard us say this before, the Speaker had every right. It is her right to have gone to Taiwan. Members of Congress make those decisions. We do not tell them what they can or cannot do or where they can travel. We have said this many times before. We provide a full, thorough briefing when they do travel. And so, again, there was no reason to have this escalation that we're seeing from China. It is fundamentally irresponsible what they are doing. And we'll continue our efforts to keep open lines of communication with Beijing while defending our interests and values in the region. This is what the world expects, the United States and China, and we encourage Beijing to keep this commitment as well when it comes to the dialogue, the climate dialogue that was canceled. And the military and climate dialogue that was canceled. So this is, again, she had every right. There's precedence for it. We talked about 25 years ago when Speaker Gingrich went to Taiwan. And so we are not going to, give any more than that on the Speaker's travel.
Okay, you just say you're not going to give any more on the Speaker's travel, but I'm going to ask a similar question
Sure.
in a way, because I think that you guys have said repeatedly that it was her right to go, her decision to go, but now, like my colleague just said, now you've seen the results, now you've seen what has happened. Do you feel that these escalated tensions in the region were worth any message that Pelosi's visit sent?
I mean, I'm going to say what I just said. The Speaker had the right to go to Taiwan. She's the Speaker of the House. She should speak to the impact of her travel on her own. That is for her to answer. And our focus is on defending our interests, as we have said many times, and the values in the Indo-Pacific. And that's what we're going to focus on. Still, we have kept the lines of communications open, as I have just said, on a bunch of levels, as you know, as we've talked about before, with Beijing. We've been communicating with them. The president spoke with President Xi last Thursday. That was the 5th time that he spoke with him. We have always said how important it is to have the open line of communication, that open line of dialogue. That still is the same. But again, China's actions right now is fundamentally irresponsible. There is no need and there's no reason for this escalation. If you're talking about the Speaker, this is what we're talking about, the Speaker going to Taiwan, which is precedent. There's nothing unusual about that. We have seen it before. Members of Congress have visited multiple times to Taiwan this year alone. And so, this is something that is not needed. And so we're going to continue to condemn the actions that we have seen. And, and we have said that China may take, we're going to take steps like this, and we expect that they will continue to react both in coming and over the longer time horizon.
The ambassador, after he was brought here for the démarche, published an op-ed in the Washington Post, and essentially he concluded that the Taiwan issue could lead the U.S. and China to conflict. What's your response?
So I'll say this, and you were asking me this. We're going to keep our regular communications with our PRC counterparts. So that's number one, as we're talking about the démarche. After China's action, we summoned PRC ambassador to the White House on Thursday to démarche him about the PRC's provocative actions. We condemned the PRC's military actions, which are irresponsible, again, at odds with our longstanding goal of maintaining peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait. We made clear to the ambassador that Beijing's actions are of concern to Taiwan, to us, and to our partners around the world. We highlighted yesterday's G7 statement rejecting Beijing's attempt to coerce and intimidate Taiwan, and express our support for ASEAN's statement overnight about the importance of de-escalating tensions. Finally, we made clear once again, as we have done privately at the highest level and publicly, nothing has changed about our one China policy. Nothing has changed. We also made clear that the United States is prepared for what Beijing chooses to do. So we will not seek or do not want a crisis. At the same time, we will not deter from operating in the seas and skies of the Western Pacific. So that is our message to our counterparts. That is our message to Beijing, and that's what we've been communicating.
Okay. And then on foreign policy, President Biden's foreign policy approach, did not prevent Putin from invading Ukraine. What makes you so sure that his approach here is going to prevent China from invading Taiwan?
Putin is now a pariah on the world stage. And that has happened because what the president did is he brought together the NATO alliance. They are stronger than they ever been. We're about to welcome Sweden and Finland, which has expanded the alliance, which is incredibly important. And if you look at what's going on with Russia's economy, it's not doing too great right now. And that's because of what we have been able to do as a unit, what we have been able to show our force of strength, the sanctions who have actually had effect on Russia. And so that matters. You have seen a leadership from this president that would not, if NATO would not have, the strength of NATO and how they've come together would not have happened if it wasn't for this president's leadership.
So is President Biden's goal here then to make Xi a pariah on the world stage?
No, I'm just speaking to Russia. What I'm saying about China is that there's no reason for Beijing to have escalated the way that they have. There is no reason. The policy has not changed. We are still in line with the one China policy. The speaker had every right to take that trip. And so that is something that they need to speak to.
Just to follow up on some of the questions, you guys have made it clear that the speaker had the right to travel to Taiwan, and that was her prerogative. But there's a difference between her ability to do that and whether the White House agrees with that decision. They're two totally different things. And I understand the reason the president did not explicitly say to her, do not go, is because he respects that line and that independence of that governing body and her leadership. At the same time, we have seen an escalation of tensions between the U.S. and China directly as a result of Speaker Pelosi's visit. So I'm wondering why the White House is hesitant to publicly criticize the decision to travel, given that privately White House officials raised concerns before she traveled and continue to raise concerns about that decision.
Because it's her right to travel. And there's a precedent for this.
But whether or not it was her right, which you've established, the result of that right has created problems for the White House and the administration.
Again, my answer is not going to change. It was her right to travel. There's precedent for this. Nothing has changed in the sense of our one China policy that's guided by the Taiwan Relations Act of 1979. Nothing has changed in our perspective. And so, again, it is the right for the speaker to travel wherever she pleases, wherever she chooses. She is the speaker. She's a member of Congress. Our job is to give her the information that she needs to make that decision on her own. Again, anything more about how she feels about the travel, her thoughts, I would refer you to the speaker.